Hey there, guys. Welcome in for 30 books in 30 weeks. It is that time, and this week we are in week 6 of the 30, and we're talking about this book here called When God Winks. And I was sharing with you all last night how much I love this book because it talks about how the power of coincidence operates in our lives and how oftentimes we kind of overlook it. And so that's the subject matter I want to talk about tonight. So as you come in, make sure that you share this out. It's going to be some good stuff. This book is absolutely adorable. But for those of you who may be joining in for the first time and don't really know me, aren't familiar with what I do, my name is Marcy Batiste. I am a public speaker, I'm an author, and I am a success and recovery coach. And I live life on Mars. I'm sold out to my happiness, and I absolutely 150% love helping other women shine and helping them raise the bar to embrace and discover what I call their star power. And every woman has it. Not everyone knows how to use it to ignite their love, their life, their relationships, and their businesses. And that's what I'm here for. Hey, Melissa, what's going on? Thanks for joining in. And then in addition to my one-on-one and my group coaching, I have a training company called Bankable Success Advisors, where I work with individuals and businesses to help them optimize their personal and professional investments, such as time, energy, and finances, so that they can yield the best return on that investment. So that's a little bit about me, and this is my personal development series where I share takeaways and ahas from various personal development books that I'm reading. And so this week I robbed my bookshelf of this little book right here, and I hadn't read it in a long, it's probably been 10 years since I read this book. I had forgot it was on my shelf. I came across it. And when it talks about coincidence, right? So I come across this book and decided this is going to be the book that I wanted to discuss on for this week, and was preparing to do the live. Ended up talking to a friend of mine, and we start talking about coincidence. And I was like, oh, that's a coincidence. That's a God wink. And so basically what the premise of this book is that a God wink is really what we often recognize to be coincidence. And we think that coincidence just sort of happened randomly and that we're part of some just random experiences. And that's not the case at all. Like, you were sent here for a purpose. You were born into a promise, and you are part of a more divine and greater plan than what you even have a clue about. But we forget that. And so that's why I was so excited when I saw this book on my bookshelf. I'm like, oh yes, I remember that. And we're part of something so much greater than what we ever deemed possible for our lives. And so God winks and sends you these little downloads, these little messages to say, here, try this, here, try that. But a lot of times we don't pay attention and we just overlook it. And there's a quote in here from Albert Einstein, and it says, oh gosh, how does that quote go? It says, I shall never believe that God plays dice with the world, or something like that. I think that's it. I'm trying to think. Let me see if I can find it. But he's talking about like the randomness, right? Because everyone thinks that coincidence are random, and so Albert Einstein is suggesting that it's not random at all. Like, why would God shoot dice with our existence? He's probably not going to do that. He's the creator. So, like, you're not going to leave your greatest creation to chance, right? So his quote, it says, I should never believe that God plays dice with the world. And so when you think about how that looks and how it manifests in life, you really come to realize, like, why would he? So coincidences aren't really just random. They're part of your design purpose. They're part of your design plan, but it's that part of the plan that you didn't plan for. So a lot of times we'll invest a whole lot of time coming up with our own ideas and our own plans and forget that our destiny was laid out long before our arrival. And so there's already a purpose for your being. There's a plan for your life. you have a plan for the contributions that you're going to make to the world, to the people around you, and all those things. But we get so hyper focused on what we want to do that we lose sight of the things that we were sent here to do. And so God winks to show you, like, hey, pay attention, try this, do this, try that. And it's like people look at coincidence and say, oh, you know, this or that happened and it's just too good to be true. No, it's not too good to be true. That's what's supposed to be. That's exactly what it's supposed to be, because it's part of His plan. It's the part of the plan that you didn't plan for, because it wasn't your plan. It was God's plan. And so God winks and says, hey, pay attention. I want you to see this. I want you to pay attention to this. But like, we get stuck in our comfort zones. Like, you get stuck being content with life and stuck with the status quo and stuck with average. And you know, that was one of the things when I created my personal mission statement. And the big a big component of that is just to be happy. And I think that that's reasonable. And so when good things happen, I'm like, not like, that's not a coincidence to me. Good things are supposed to happen. Like, I'm God's child. Like, why wouldn't good things supposed to happen to me? But in order for good to exist, evil must also exist and reside. And so when you understand that, you don't get so hung up when the bad stuff happens that you overlook the good stuff when they happen. And so I when I was reading the book, I was thinking, you know, God gives us this thing called intuition. Hey, TC Cooper, what's going on? God gives us this thing called intuition. And I was thinking, you know what? Intuition is kind of like having a secret decoder button, right? And so all of those things, when they come up and we're just thinking like, oh, what could this mean? You know, this is too good to be true. Your intuition tells you to either go this way or to go that way. And so it's that secret decoder of coincidence. It's not a coincidence. You are not a product of circumstance. You're a victim of circumstance. You're a product of your choices. You're a product of a greater plan. You are not just a product of coincidence. And so when you look at how your intuition plays into that, you're like, your intuition says, have you ever had that feeling where you're just like, I don't know, this just happened and I don't know if I should do this or not, but it just feels right. That's intuition saying, try this. This is part of a plan that you didn't plan for. Just like when intuition is like, I don't think we should do it. And we talk about the good angel and the bad angel sitting on our shoulder, and you have that feeling, it's in your gut, and you're just like, Annie Batiste, what's going on, sis? You have that feeling in your gut, and you even find yourself sometimes like, something told me not to. Something just told me it wasn't going to be right. Well, if something told you it wasn't going to be right, then why did you do it? That's because we try and focus on our plan instead of God's plan. And so He sends us these things and gives us this opportunity to take a detour, to try something different, and invariably we don't listen. And so thinking about that intuition as sort of a secret decoder for these coincidences, a secret decoder for God's winks. So you can tell, is this a God wink, which is going to be a good thing happening? Or is this a test? Is this a trial? Is this something that was created to distract you? Because remember what I just said, in order for good to exist, bad must also reside. And so, but your God winks are always going to be the good stuff. They're going to be the positive things. But sometimes we're sitting there looking like, oh, this just feels too good to be true. It feels too good to be true. That's you ignoring your decoder. Your intuition's telling you it's a good thing. Well, if it's a good thing, why wouldn't you want to do it? Duh. I mean, it's really that simple. If it's a good thing, why wouldn't you at least try? But so many times we're so afraid to come out of that zone of contentment and to just experience for 1 second, even if it ends up not working in the long run because of whatever reason, and oftentimes it's our own fault why stuff falls apart. But if for whatever reason in the end it doesn't work out, was that moment, was those few moments of excellence, of awesome, of happiness, wasn't it worth it to pay attention to the God wink? If you could have that moment to do all over again, how many of you would have said, you know what, something told me I should do that and I didn't do it, and now I wish I had? Well, guess what? The moment's gone. God winked and you didn't pay attention. You didn't listen to your secret decoder. You was just like, oh, let me try and figure this out on my own. Your secret decoder is going to tell you, is this a God wink or is this a test? The God winks are always good stuff. When you get that download, when you have that experience that, ooh, this feels too good to be true, you do your research. Now, this is not talking about outlandish stuff where you should just, common sense should just guide you and say, you know better, like the lottery scams and all these different email scams and all that. I'm not talking about that kind of feels too good to be true. I'm talking about that moment when you meet someone, for example, and you just hit it off, you strike up a conversation, and something just says, you know what, I want to get to know this individual more. It could be for business, it could be for personal, and it's going to come from out of the blue, and you're just like, I don't know, but I just feel like I want to know this person. And then little by little, you start going down the path, and then you start discovering and uncovering the reason why that individual was brought into your life. Remember, it's not coincidence. You are part of a bigger and far greater plan than the plan you have created for yourself. So that's the message tonight from When God Winks, is to listen to your intuition. Your intuition is your secret decoder. It's going to tell you whether it's a God wink or a test. And none of it's coincidence. None of it. We just call it a coincidence. But it was sent for a purpose, for a reason, created and designed especially for you. And you just have to be curious enough, brave enough, courageous enough. Hey, Eva. You have to be brave enough, courageous enough, and curious enough to say, you know what? I want to see, did God wink? And go try it. Because, like I said, even if you only have that moment of awesome, that moment of happy, is it worth it to at least try? Hey, Joy, what's going on, boo-boo? Like, it made me really think, like, when I meet people, and maybe that's part of why I have the attitude that I have a lot of times, is that everything happens for a reason. Because like I said, I read this book years and years, probably 10, 15 years ago. But that everything does happen for a reason. And it's not, there are no coincidences. People are sent to you. There's a saying, people are sent to you for a season, a reason, or a lifetime. And I would venture to guess that everyone's sent for at least a reason. And it's up to us to decode what that is. And then beyond that, like we've talked for the last several weeks, being okay with it not being okay. And being able to say, you know what, it didn't work out. I'm going to go ahead and go my direction. I'm going to take the L, I'm going to cut my losses, I'm going to walk out. So, right, Joy, it's just, if I could just tell you guys the experiences and the people that when you get really, really clear and you really start paying attention to the people that God sends into your life, the people that the universe, whoever your higher power is, let's say that, when you get really clear about paying attention to the things that come to you based on you being committed to the mission. So once you figure out kind of what you were sent here for, and you have a pretty darn good idea When they say when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Who do you think sent the teacher? That's a God wink. Okay? All right. So enjoy that tonight. Sleep on that. Marinate on it. Love on it. And look for the God winks, whatever you do. And when you hear yourself getting ready to say, oh, that's a coincidence, stop yourself. It's not a coincidence. It's God wink. So appreciate that. All right. And I appreciate you guys. So that's it for me tonight. We'll be back tomorrow night with another takeaway from our lovely week 6 book, When God Winks. And so in the meantime and in between time, as always, I love you. I appreciate and I thank you all. Thank you so much for living life on Mars. We will talk tomorrow night.